welcome to the 8th edition of JLU International Festival of Media, hosted and curated by the Faculty of Journalism and Communication. I'm Alisha Ali, and today I'm joined by Sonia Bhaskar. She's the program head of DataLEADS, has formerly worked with NDTV and has experience of more than 24 years. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you here with us today. Our session earlier today was an Asian Dispatch being a collaborative model to tell better stories. Can you please tell us about this initiative and what was the inspiration behind creating a model so focused on cross-border collaborations?
So, Asian Dispatch started last year. It's a one-year-old initiative. We have about 18 newsrooms across 10 countries, Asian countries, who are part of the Asian Dispatch. This is a mix of sort of newsrooms that are small as well as a few large players. So we may have a Malaysia Kiwi, but we'll also have, say, a Prothomalo from Bangladesh. We will also have an East Mojo from India, for example. So there are some newsrooms that have just 2-3 members and a stringer network in their country, probably. So so the idea was that we want to tell our stories from our perspective, from the Asian perspective. The voice and the narrative needs to be from our side and not from the Western prism of parachute journalism, where they do not have a local base, but they will tell the world what the story is. So we wanted to kind of focus on localized stories and reporting from grassroots. We want, because we have a different understanding, say, even of our colonial history, or the our version of what imperialism has done. So it has to be from and Asia is the largest continent, and we have a huge voice, and we have our own stories to tell from our perspective. So it was just with that intent. And collaboration, why? Because it's a very fragmented, challenging world that journalism is operating in today. So if we can pool resources, if we can tap into each other's strengths and maybe cover up for each other's weaknesses. I'm maybe a newsroom that has no presence in your country, but there might be a story that is developing in my country which has some roots in your country. And if we can work together and narrate a better story and give a different context or a more detailed context to our readers, then why not? And if I'm writing a story, I may have an audience in my country, but what if my story also has some resonance and relevance for readers in your country? And so I can probably tap into your publication. If you republish my story, then I get a larger audience, which I would have never had access to sitting in my own country, in my own ecosystem. I may not have the knowledge, the skill of doing multiple format journalism, but I can probably tap into the network, and they can help me expand my storytelling into different formats. There might be someone who can help me code and gamify my story, right? So, it's just that collaboration, but also exchange of ideas and learning and expansion of the possibilities, really.
So basically collaborating and finding the commonality between the stories and looking at that human angle that everybody would relate to and could, take into consideration while reading a story. Ma'am, you talked about collaboration. I want to look at the global media landscape. It is so interconnected now. Like every story impacts the story of another country and vice versa. So can you tell us about what are some of the challenges and also opportunities that are there going forward if we look at the Asian newsrooms and how they are operating right now?
Opportunities immense, challenges are immense as well. I mean, globally and everywhere, yes, media formats, especially media models, the financial revenue models are really, really under pressure. There is a certain regulation, political pressure as well. which is universal. There are a lot of these commonalities, that challenges that are common, right?
Yeah, true.
It's also about evolving technology, how to cope with it, social media, not being able to control your distribution, who's the audience. All of that is common problems. Opportunities, well, this is the time to focus on your audience, figure out what your audience wants, do the stories that's relevant to them, do the stories that actually can help them and build that credibility and trust, and that can only happen when you tell the stories that are relevant to them. If you are I mean, one of the things that Asian Dispatch wanted to focus on was not just do the breaking news cycle, but do deep dives into issues of not just marginalized voices, but issues of health, issues of climate change, issues of human rights, issues of migration and human trafficking, uh, apart from politics and governance, right? So because these are issues that are touching everyday lives, these are issues that are going to have long term effect, and this is what is touching the nerve of the people. I mean, Malaysia Kini doing a 3-part series on the Red Rivers, which shows the impact of iron ore mining is happening or having on water bodies, is not just an environmental story; it's a health story. How it's impacting the communities, and the communities may not see, if they don't see these stories in mainstream media, they will feel that the mainstream media is irrelevant. They will lose faith in it. That when they see stories that are just something which is only for eyeballs and not telling their stories, you will have people fall out of that. They will not connect with it. So it's important to rebuild that trust by telling the stories that matter to people and getting them back on board. Only then, because you will need people to fight misinformation. Once people start distinguishing between what's credible and what's not credible, and they come to you for news or they come to you for information, that's the battle you're waging, to win back that faith and trust, to cut the clutter and get those stories out which matter to people.
So the focus should be on ensuring that we are understanding people's perspective and doing journalism which matters to the common.
That's what it was
people.
all about, right?
Yeah,
Public interest. So, I mean, Asia Dispatch is also just going back to the roots of collaborating and doing covering issues of public interest.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the
Any
goal.
last comments for the students of journalism? Any suggestions, advice for them?
Very, very important that they come with a mindset where they will have to constantly reinvent themselves, constantly reskill themselves, constantly learn. You can learn, I mean, you can always have the journalistic ethics, and they will always, no matter what formats come in, what technology come in, they will remain the same. The good old journalism will not become irrelevant. Verifying sources was a thing that journalists did in the past. They will continue doing so for eternity. So making sure you have the voices, balanced voices, you get all sides of the story, making sure you're verifying your data, that those ethics will not change. What will change is the platform of how to reach your audience, probably. Earlier, maybe it was just print. Today, you have different formats, multiple media, multiple platforms, and you need to learn about them. You need to know which platform is catering to whom and why should I be there. You have to be platform and format agnostic to survive, and the fittest will survive at the end of the day. And technology is going to move at a very, very fast pace. You said about 24, 25 years. I entered the field when TV journalism was starting to boom, right? I mean, I'm probably the last generation that has seen a black and white TV and probably has seen the transition from analog editing, where we would actually cut from tape and master to digital, and saw the coming of websites and social media platforms. In the span of just 2 decades, we have seen so many technologies come in, and now the technology is coming in and evolving every 2 years and even less. I mean, ChatGPT, from what it was in 2022, is a very different thing of what OpenAI has is achieved in 2 years, and the amount of platforms that are coming in, and how that impacts journalism is something that you need to learn. You will have to learn that on the job. Through trial and error and putting yourself out there. That is the key, to be absolutely open, constant learning and be part of every debate and discussion that is arising in this evolution.
Be a part of every discussion, constant learning. That's the word coming in from Sonia Bhaskar. Ma'am, we are completely out of time, but thank you so much for joining us today. With camera person Sanya Mehta, this is Alisha Ali from JLU Bhopal. Keep watching Lakecity Live.